Well, good morning, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from cloudy San Antonio, Texas. The second most powerful, passionate, purposeful coach and speaker in the world. I'm going to come across a little different this morning because of things I am experiencing personally in the wake of this ridiculous tragedy just a few minutes from my hometown of San Antonio, Texas. Now, there's a lot of folks that are feeling like the world's going to hell in a handbasket. What do you do? The world's going to hell in a handbasket. What do you do? All of these senseless murders taking place and all of this hatred and division and dissension in the country. And I will just tell you straight out right. I don't really know for a fact. What I do know is that if you just feel the feelings and do not take action, it's just not the same as if you choose to take an action and move towards something to bring resolution in your spirit, in your soul, when you're faced with incomprehensible, egregious acts of evil. So when I say, when the world's going to hell in a handbasket, I charge you to bring heaven to earth. What do I mean by that? I want to uncomplicate that. Don't anybody get weird on me, because I'm going to explain that to you very, very simply. For those of you that heard a prayer called the Lord's Prayer, there's a part in that prayer when Jesus was instructing people that said this: "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Let me make that real simple. I'm just going to expose that today. So as an etymology word study guy, I love studying words, and I love that book because the wisdom and the life that comes from it has literally transformed my life. In the last 28 years, where I began a dead and dying, suicidal, bipolar, manic, depressive, drug addict with needle tracks up and down my arms, locked up in the state hospital loony bin, this book has been the primary source for everything I consider successful today. And so the word kingdom, don't get weird, comes from the original word basileia. And basileia had three different aspects: rule, realm, and reign. So what does that mean when Jesus says, "Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven"? Well, let me explain it to you this way. Imagine if you had, let's say, a foreign emissary coming to the United States. So this foreign emissary, this representative of a different country, was raised with a certain cultural mores, certain things that are acceptable in that country, certain things that are not tolerated in that country, certain ways, certain language, certain attitudes and mindsets, because of the nature, nurture, environment in that country. They're not expected to show up in our country and completely assimilate to the ways of America. They represent their country in a unique way that comes from their upbringing. They are foreigners in the United States, yet they are representing the countries they come from. And so they come with a sense of rule, with a realm that they have that rule in, and a reign, meaning an authority given where there is accountability for that rule. Are you guys following me? So when we have someone who is visiting here from a different place, they sound different, they may look different, they may dress different, they may have something unique about them that's just not quite American. And Jesus was this living example. And he said, "I only do what I see my Father doing." What did he do? He prayed for people. He prayed for the sick. He showed mercy to people. He extended kindness and goodness. He confronted religious freaks. By the way, people who don't try to understand, please. My knowledge of this living God can fit in a thimble standing next to the ocean of who he is. I do not claim to have that type of knowledge. What I do have is a very simple revelation that I have an incredible, sorry about that, Heavenly Father, who absolutely adores and loves me because I'm his creation. And there's nothing I could do to earn that love. I don't have to be good to earn that love. He just gives it to me. Loves me like that. And you too, quite frankly. I just have this revelation that I am absolutely, positively, incredibly loved. And being filled with that allows me to pour that out into others. So when you hear that in the Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, that means there's a rule, there's a reign, there's a realm of heaven in the way the economy works in there, which is, quite frankly, very opposite to the way most of us were raised, which is why Jesus told Nicodemus, a ruler of the law, hey, if you want to see the kingdom, you're going to have to be born again. And Nicodemus is like, how can I go back into my mother's womb and be born a second time? And he's like, for real? You're the teacher of all of Israel and you don't get this whole thing? You're transformed by the renewing of your mind. You have information that you have taken in your whole life. Now you take in his word and his ways, and you begin to study and learn and look and say, I've been told if you come at me, I can come at you. You're telling me to turn the other cheek. I've been told, that if somebody sins against me, I can jack them back up, and you're telling me to, bless. I've been told that if somebody comes against me, I can come against them verbally. And you say to bless those who curse you and pray for those who despitefully use you. This is really weird. This is very different, very opposite of what I've been taught and what I've learned. So we are transformed by the renewing of our mind, by getting that new information, that new understanding in us to say, how do that? Okay, if kingdom come, will be done, Jesus, is what you prayed, then I guess it would probably make pretty good sense for me to figure out a little bit of what's going on in heaven so that heaven can invade earth. Not, I'll fly away, oh glory, rapture me up, Jesus, take me away. As I had one guy said, everybody's worried about an anti-Christ, one world beast government, when really they should be tripping about a one world anti-beast Christ government, meaning that the ways of God, the way he does things, which is designed to promote others being built up and lifted up and strengthened and encouraged and inspired to walk in his ways. He has given free will. You get to choose equal opportunity, unequal reward. The book's out there. It's in every hotel room you've ever stayed in your whole life. If you don't understand it, there's people who can explain it to you, who can teach it, that will help you understand. I have narrowed it down to two simple things for me. This is me. This is how I handle it. Very simple. Jesus was asked by rulers of the law regularly. They always tried to trap him. They tried to mess him up, and he was so brilliant in his answers. And they asked him, well, what's the most important commandment? I mean, some people ask you questions, they don't know the answer. They just want to try to mess you up. And he said this. Here's what it's all about. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and body, and love your neighbor the way you love yourself. All of the law and the commandments, the prophets, all of them hinge on those two things right there. So here's what Steve Collins decided. I don't understand a whole lot of the Bible stuff. I understand love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and body, and I understand loving people the way I love myself. So that's all I'm working on, y'all. I'm just working on those two things. And if that's what the good Lord said is going on in heaven, and that's how I invade earth, then that's how I deal with what feels like the world going to hell in a handbasket. I accept complete and total responsibility for me, for what I do, for what I choose to do, for what I choose to speak, how I choose to live, and the impact I intentionally intend to have on the lives of everyone who has been entrusted to my care and influence. I am not waiting for somebody else to do it. I'm not waiting for somebody else to get me going. I'm not waiting for circumstances to be perfect. I'm not waiting for everything in my life to be perfect. I'm focused on progress, not perfection. And I'm going to encourage you to do the same. I'm going to encourage you, be the very best version of yourself you possibly can. Learn as much as you possibly can. Study as much as you possibly can. Grow as much as you possibly can as a person, using your unique gifts and talents that you have been given in service to other people. The quickest way to break out of depression is to get into servanthood. Serve other people. Use the gifts you have. Do you know how to bake cakes? Bake some people some cakes. Okay? You want to know how to you know how to clean people's houses? Go offer to clean somebody's house. You're a really good landscaper? Go landscape somebody's yard. You're a really good speaker? Go speak and encourage and inspire somebody. You're a really good writer? Start writing. Start writing. Send somebody some notes. Write a handwritten note. Do what you can do to make the difference, because one life changed is a life changed. You remember the starfish story, the young boy on the seashore looking at millions of starfish, throwing them one at a time. Old man walks up and says, "What are you doing, son?" He says, "I'm saving starfish, sir." He says, "Son, there's millions of them. You're never going to make a difference." Boom. Made a difference for that one, sir. Just get you one starfish today. Just get you one today. Who can you make an impact on today? Doing things the good Lord's way. Who can you make an impact on today? Whose life can you change today? If you get out of your own head, get into gratitude, and make a decision to touch someone else's life today, I'm going to challenge and charge you to go out of your way today to make somebody else's life bigger as you serve them. And you just make that one act at a time. You build it up over time, and you'll gain momentum. And the next thing you know, you're going to have a servant's heart. Bring heaven to earth. Love God, love on people. Keep it simple, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great Monday.